Hey everyone, this is Cameron, pastor at Door of Hope Northeast, and I am on video right now, shooting this myself on my iPhone, which I think is going to look really nice. Technology is insane. I'm here obviously in the beautiful Fremont building that we get to meet in, and just wanted to take a minute to give a few updates. I know most of this won't be shockingly new information if you've been following our newsletters, but just thought it'd be nice to kind of address these things a bit more personally. I'll also be posting this to the website. So hey, if you're visiting from the website, nice to see you in a sense. But here we go. I just wanted to first of all acknowledge a scripture that's really dear to me that kind of highlights why this time we're living in is so unnatural for us as a church community. Hebrews 10:24-25 says this. I'll just read it here off my computer. It says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." And that is a refrain of the New Testament writers. They're constantly calling Christians to not neglect meeting together, to be together, to love one another, serve one another, greet one another with a holy kiss. All these things, bear one another's burdens. The theme is get together. Christian life is not meant to be lived in isolation. And yet, we believe still that the Christian thing to do, the way to be obedient to Jesus and the call to love God and love neighbor right now, is to not gather together, to help play our part in the team effort to slow the spread of the coronavirus, to love our healthcare workers, to love the most vulnerable in our population. And so that's what we're doing. And I hope as you feel the unnaturalness of this time and you perhaps have frustration building day to day, week to week, that you'll continue to keep that spirit in the forefront of your mind, that neighbor love aspect of what we're doing. This hopefully is not for you just a begrudging responsibility, although it's fine to begrudge it, but something that's actually motivated by love for those that you care for. And yet, it's worth acknowledging this is hard, and this is frustrating, and this does in many ways, not in all ways, but in many ways cut against the grain of what hopefully we've been growing to really see as one of the most important things we do, which is be together in small groups and in large gatherings. And so, we don't know how long this is going to go on. Maybe in a week or two we'll have more direction and more of a timeline that we suspect, but even as things begin to be loosened in the state of Oregon, we don't know when a gathering the size of ours, almost 200 people on a Sunday, will be able to happen. And so we'll get creative and think of other things we can do that are still honoring the spirit of what's going on, but it's important, here's the point, it's important that we don't get into too much of just a holding pattern now. I know from even our own family, the first couple weeks of this, we just weren't really building healthy habits because we thought, oh, this will be over in a couple weeks. It's obviously not over yet, and we don't know how long it's going to go for. So if you've been hesitant to really invest in the things that we can do as a church community now, I would encourage you, this is the point of this, I'd encourage you to do that. Encourage you to lean into all those opportunities we do have and we can take advantage of. And so I just want to talk about a few of those that exist now in this in-between time before we're able to gather together again. First of all, I just want to remind you the power and importance of just personal check-ins with one another. If there are people at Door of Hope Northeast that you know, you have their phone numbers, you have their email addresses, please call, please FaceTime, please text, please email just to check in and say, hey, how you doing? Is there anything you need? If you've been on the receiving end of that, you know how special it is to just know, man, people are thinking of me and they care. And then same thing, if you're in a community group, I know many of the community groups are continuing to meet over Zoom on Wednesdays, some on Sunday mornings. That's amazing. We encourage that and to go above and beyond, to check in other ways as well. Secondarily, we've been doing this community devotional series. Currently, we're in John. We'll probably move on to something else once we finish through John here, I believe next week. And these are another really cool opportunity to stay connected, that the group of people doing this is reading through the same scriptures and rereading week in and week out, and then we're having different people from our community kind of lead us through little devotional reflections on the text that we're reading. And so if if you haven't started that, it's not too late. Jump in, start reading John with us and whatever's next. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Play, and follow along. It's a good way to connect. And then when you call and when you text and when you email with people from the community, talk about it. Talk about the things that we're encountering in the scriptures together. It's a good opportunity for connection. Number 3, we've got a Tuesday morning digital prayer meeting going. And so at the Fremont building, there had been early morning prayer. We're doing 7 a.m. over Zoom now for this time. Just take advantage of that time. It's a really sweet thing to be together, to see one another, and to pray for one another. The link to that is in the newsletter. We also have mentioned we're starting up meal trains, a way to kind of rally around people who are experiencing a really significant shift in their lives during this time. Often a baby is born or there's a loss of someone in their family, things like that. And so we're trying to be very careful. If people are receiving a meal train, we want to make sure we only do things that they're comfortable with during this time in terms of food preparation and handling and those kinds of things. And so we'll take all that into consideration and do it in a way that's comfortable, safe, healthy. But if you would like to participate in that, once again, just respond to the newsletter and let me know, and we'll make sure that I get your information to Michelle Leeser, who's going to be coordinating that for us, which is awesome. Also, we just want you to be able to share prayer requests. We're using our newsletter as kind of a hub for prayer requests. We haven't had a ton of participation in that yet, but it's there if you'd like to share prayer requests to our whole Door of Hope Northeast family and just a few people beyond that. We invite you to do that. And by the same token, if you have immediate needs, we want you to share those as well. And so if you've been following along with Door of Hope Southeast's material, in fact, just this week, Josh's sermon kind of started with a little note encouraging people. If you are suffering, either in terms of health or in terms of financial realities, if you've been laid off, if you need help kind of having your needs supplied, we want to know that. We're a little church. We don't have a ton of resources, but we do, and we're going to talk about this more in a second, but we do want you to let us know and see if we can serve you. Don't be afraid to reach out and make your needs known. We want to know. And then finally, we've started our own Door of Hope Northeast community Facebook group, similar to the Southeast one. Just kind of an informal way for people to connect, share requests, chat about things, start conversations, let people know things that are going on. And so if you're part of Door of Hope Northeast, we're trying to keep that group just for us. But join that if you're on Facebook. That's another good avenue. So those are just some ways to connect. It's possible that we're going to roll out some new things in the coming weeks, some new opportunities that make sense for us in this time. But that's it for right now. I just want to close by mentioning once again a few ways to help, specifically with relief related to the coronavirus. And so first of all, if you would like to be available to offer help to someone in our community, please let me know. Email me. There's a great crew of people that have already stepped up and said they're willing to help in various ways. If that's you, email me so I know and so I can connect you to people as those needs arise. Number 2, we do now have a specific giving line through PushPay for coronavirus-related benevolence. And so you don't have to give through that. If you want to hang on to it and look for an opportunity that I can connect you with, that's fine as well. But if you would just prefer to give that money to the church to sort of use for benevolence needs, that's now there on PushPay at Door of Hope Northeast. You can find that on our webpage or the link in our newsletter as well. And we've mentioned as well, for many of us, the stimulus money that the government has passed is now beginning to hit. And so I just want to remind and encourage you, if you need that, if that's like a water in the desert that you need to stay afloat, you should use that and use all of it as you see fit. But if you don't, if you're one of those folks who's still pretty secure and stable and have work, we're encouraging folks to consider setting that aside for folks in the community. If things do come up, that seems like a good opportunity to just set things aside. And remember, we're playing the long game here. Certain people are already feeling the effects, but there's going to be people who have things really come up later down the road as well. So we just want to be diligent to be patient with that. And if we're able to set it aside to give it, then we want to give it. Um, and then another thing we want to note is that if you're looking for ways to contribute financially to the larger relief effort around the city, we think there's lots of good opportunities. I mean, giving directly to the hospitals. Most of the hospital networks have set up funds that are helping them go do things all the way from research to providing personal protective equipment to their workers. That is a really good way to do that. We think that's a great way to serve and love the city. There's also some of our trusted local ministries that are continuing to serve really vulnerable populations that would be a great way to give financially to as well. And so we think of Portland Rescue Mission, who's still serving meals and providing beds and all kinds of things amidst all this. We think of Refugee Care Collective, who's raising a specific fund to go and make sure that refugee families in the city are well taken care of during this crisis. And then Embrace Oregon, working with foster care families and children. They're doing some important work as well. And so once again, in the newsletter, you can find links to those giving pages specifically. Those are great uses of your resources during this time. And a final plea, if you are part of our community and you are facing hardship right now, I just want to ask you again to please not hesitate to let us know. We're not going to have the magic bullet to fix everything and to answer everything. We don't have endless resources, of course, but we do want to know, we want to pray, and we want to see if we can do anything to help you. And so there you go. Those are the updates for now. Myself and our two brand new elders, Josh Law and Joel Law and Josh Wilder, are going to be praying for you. We're going to be devising new ways we can try to stay connected. If you have any questions or thoughts or concerns or anything else, reach out to us, shoot us emails, and let's continue to be the church in a weird time. Thanks for listening. Hope you made it through this long video. But I love you. I'm so excited, yearning for the day when we can be together, not just over the phone and over Zoom, but in person, in small groups, in our large group here in this wonderful space. I'm yearning for it. It's going to be a sweet, sweet day.